I think it's a weird story that doesn't really go anywhere. It meanders, has an ending that makes no sense, and then it just is over. That being said,
ladies, gentlemen, and those with the good sense to do away with the whole notion, I welcome you to the premier audio medium for all your Fazbear entertainment needs, the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast. Note, FFPP is not responsible for any loss of appetite, disinterest, dismemberment, or other legally classified statuses. So strap in and enjoy.
hello everybody, and welcome back to the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast. I'm your host with the toast, Rye Toast, here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. As always, we've had I can't get the microphone where I want it. We've had Jesus Christ, it's all falling apart. We've had a crazy news week for Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's not even like, let me just recline. I'm tired. I had a very busy Friday, and I'm still recovering, and it's Sunday. But we have had a crazy news week for Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's not even like, it all happened in one Twitter post. So let me catch y'all up on what happened. So earlier this week, this is Sunday the 23rd as of recording this, but the previous Tuesday, the FNAF _Scott Games Twitter account, the official Scott Games Twitter account that, like, on Reddit, he basically posted and like, hey guys, I thought it was about time to make a Twitter account to post exciting new things. So here's the Twitter account, follow it. And then we had radio silence on that account for like 2 or 3 months. But last Tuesday, he came out and put out a tweet that was like, hey, to celebrate the 10th year anniversary of FNAF, every day for the first 8 days of August, something's going to happen. And I'll say exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, which everyone was like, huh? So Wednesday, he puts out this tweet. I'm just going to read it in full, and then we're going to talk about it. This is the same tweet that I made a whole video about Friday. But this is going to be the more relaxed and longer rambled version, essentially. But the tweet was, as promised, here's the planned August lineup. August 1st, My Pop Goes full game release. August 2nd, The Joy of Creation remake demo. August 3rd, VIP interactive novel free. August 4th, Steel Wool announcement. August 5th, Scott Cawthon interview with Dawko 2.0. August 6th, collab announcement. August 7th, 5 Laps at Freddy's by Click Team demo. August 8th, Into the Pit full game release. There may also be movie updates sprinkled in as well. The list may change as the time gets closer, but regardless of what the final schedule ends up being, it will be a fun August. What a crazy tweet to put out. And people are still talking about it, obviously. I mean, I'm still talking about it. But let's just go day by day. Day by day. And we'll talk about each one. So the first one, August 1st, My Pop Goes full game release. This is hype. I'm really excited for it. So for anyone who doesn't know, I want to say about a year ago, an early version of My Pop Goes was released on Game Jolt, I believe. And it's essentially like a Tamagotchi-esque pet simulator for Pop Goes the Weasel, the main character from Pop Goes Evergreen. Well, from the Pop Goes franchise, essentially. Series within the FNAF franchise. So it's a Fazbear Fanverse Initiative game series. It started with Pop Goes back in 2016, and or was Pop Goes Arcade first? I'm not sure, I'll be honest. The release and development of Pop Goes is a little hard to remember. But Pop Goes Arcade came out a couple years ago, and My Pop Goes came out last year. Both of those games are really fun. Pop Goes Arcade in particular, the newer version with the Dead Forest and the Machinist, amazing games. Some of the best games in the FNAF franchise. And these are games that are in the FNAF. They're Fazbear Fanverse official games. So, like, they're not in the same timeline or continuity as the FNAF games are, but they are in the same franchise. Pop Goes games are officially FNAF franchise games. And that being said, Pop Goes Arcade, like the Dead Forest and the Machinist, some of the most fun games in the franchise. Really, really good, condensed, concise arcade games. They're really fun. And My Pop Goes is no different. I wouldn't say it's one of the best ones, but it's a really fun, I love the art style. Like, it's a really fun game, but it's so goddamn cute. And there's lore sprinkled in both of these games for the updated lore that we're going to see in Pop Goes Evergreen. So I'm really excited for that. I'll probably be playing the full game release and seeing what they've added in the past year and all that. Then the next day, a lot of people are chomping at the bit for. It's the Joy of Creation remake demo. As far as I'm aware, this will be the first playable thing of the Joy of Creation since its introduction into the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative. I may be wrong in that, but from what I understand, the Joy of Creation and Five Nights at Candy's 4 have both been kind of especially Candy's, have both been kind of like on the down low. The Joy of Creation has been giving us a lot of, like Nixon, the dev, has been giving us a lot of teasers, and here's like a video of this test I'm doing. Here's one of the models, like showing off a lot of what's going on. Whereas like FNAF 4 has been just radio silent. They're just working away at that. The Joy of Creation we've seen a good bit of, but as far as I'm aware, this will be the first time it's playable. So a lot of people are really excited for that, because I do know like a lot of people in general really, really like the Joy of Creation for good reason. It's a great game. I was always really bad at it. I enjoyed watching other people play it, but I'll learn for the full release and the demo when it comes out. But I think I'll probably end up, because I get back from vacation on the 3rd, and the 5th is that next Monday. So what I'll probably end up doing is on the 5th, on Monday, I'll just do a longer stream where we do My Pop Goes and the Joy of Creation, and just like do it on that day. And on the 7th, we'll be doing what comes out on the 7th, and we'll get there. August 3rd, we get VIP, the interactive novel, free. Now, I went at length on speculation in this week's video, so make sure you go and watch that if you haven't yet. But I have a feeling if you're watching the podcast, you probably watched Friday's video. But the VIP novel is interesting because it's an interactive novel which lines up with A Week Before and Return to the Pit, which are these like choose your own adventure style FNAF books that are going to be coming out in the latter half of this year and hopefully into next year. It's a really fun concept. I have a feeling these books are going to be the most directly tied, if not just one for one, with the game's timeline. I have a feeling that's the case. And the main reason I think that is because there's 25 endings, or there's more than 25 endings. So knowing Scott, now that we have a book where the book's plot is ambiguous, that's the book that'll be the most closely tied to the games. So that way we have to figure out, okay, what path and what ending is the canon one. But I'm really excited for that, because A Week Before is set the week before FNAF 1, and Return to the Pit is a retelling of Into the Pit. So both of these sound really, really dope. VIP, big question mark. I thought when I wrote the video that it was going to be either Gregory or Cassie's dad, because Gregory, to be fair, one of the endings for Security Breach is getting into the VIP lounge. And I swore at some point we get a VIP pass, but I could be wrong. But also, I mean, Gregory is a target of Vanny and Glitch Trap before and during Security Breach. He is a very important person. And likewise, so is Cassie's dad from Help Wanted 2. I mean, again, a target of Vanny and Glitch Trap, but multiple times throughout Help Wanted 2, he is directly asked, what makes you so special? So I'm like, if he's so special, he's a very important person. That was my speculation for the VIP interactive novel. I'm like, it's either Gregory or it's Cassie's dad. But a lot of comments since the video went live. I hope you all like reclined and literally head support right. Literally just, I'm relaxing today. I looked at myself in the preview. I'm like, that's crazy. But a lot of people in my comments were pointing out Cassie. I'm like, that's not a bad idea, especially because she had that whole like birthday party package, which could have been a VIP package. And if that's true, this might be the story of like how Cassie got to where she is. And that'd be really interesting. It could also be like what happens after, which I think would be more helpful, but regardless, it seems like these books are going to be filling in gaps around games that are very important. especially since Into the Pit is going to be a game now. So I'm really, really excited for that. And I'm going to, unless proven otherwise, I have a feeling I'm going to be going into these books with the same assumption that I have about the security breach endings. Yes, there are 25 plus different endings and different paths to get there. Only one of them is within the continuity. However, I think the point of those endings and those pathways is showing us other possibilities in the sense that, like, this isn't what happened, but all of the pieces are in place for it to happen. So, for an example, if a week before, one of the endings is we get killed by Chica in the kitchen, that might not be what happened to Phone Guy, but that tells us that Chica was in the kitchen and could have killed Phone Guy if he went there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the way we got to take it. And that's not what I do with the security breach endings. Like, even if the burn trap ending isn't canon, I think its existence is telling us that at the time Gregory is there, that is what William Afton looks like in the basement, right? So I think the same thing is true with these interactive novels. But if I have time on the 5th after beating the Joy of Creation demo and My Pop Goes, we'll probably read I want to do a stream where I read the VIP interactive novel and play it live. So maybe I'll do that Tuesday. Maybe there's a chance I stream every day that week, because I'll be streaming Thursday and definitely Friday. So the only weekday I'm not streaming is Tuesday, so I might as well just finish it out and make that the VIP stream. But August 4th is the Steel Wool announcement. So that's all it says is Steel Wool announcement. My guess, it's going to be the next game in the franchise. Now, it's either going to be Help Wanted 2 DLC or the next game in the franchise. I don't know which. I do kind of hope it's Help Wanted 2 DLC, because I do want them to add some stuff that I think a DLC gives them an opportunity to. For one, I mean, I really, really want an endless food prep mode. So if they can add that in any way, I'm super hyped. But I just think there's more story to tell about Cassie's dad, and I think a DLC is a great way to do that. So I do hope they add a DLC. If I sound tired, I am. I just realized my voice is like down there. It's my voice is down here. It's because I'm tired. Casey, don't fuck with my camera. He was on one. I don't remember. It was still an announcement, right? I think a new game would be really hype. But it's also really early for a new game, right? Because we did just get Help Wanted 2. And like, yeah, it's a VR like mini game collection, but that's still a full game. So like a new game, I don't know, it seems really soon. So I think it's DLC makes the most sense. But don't get me wrong, I hope it's a new game. I just think that's really soon for it. If it is a new game, I feel like it's got to be Carnival, right? Or like essentially Fall Fest. Just with how heavy-handed Help Wanted 2 is with Fall Fest. The fact that it's the backdrop of the claw machine where we get every single prize. We get a poster with Fall Fest. We get Carousel and Fazbear Blast, 2 mini games which both have multiple versions of them that take place within Fall Fest. Not only, and I went out of bounds with flat mode on Thursday, and we found that in Carousel it's got the same exact water tower and wind tower that Fazbear Blast do. So further evidence that this is definitely taking place in Fall Fest. And notably in the Carousel on the fire level, there's fire like dispersed everywhere on the map. But there's very specifically a pathway of fire from the carousel to what looks like the skeleton of a barn. Now, I don't think you're able to see this in game, so how on purpose is it? I don't know. But it's worthwhile that in Fall Fest 83, there's a birthday party happening in the barn. So, like, what happened at Fall Fest, I think, is a huge question that may affect this entire timeline. So if it's a new game, I think it's going to be Fall Fest. If it's DLC for Help Wanted 2, I hope it takes place after the Princess Quest 4 ending. And maybe it's us breaking out of there. I don't know. It's really interesting as to like what the continuation of Help Wanted 2 could be, because ostensibly both of the endings end with us dying. So unless maybe it's Cassie in the basement, that would be hype as fuck, but probably not, right? Well, to be fair, Cassie never goes into the FNAF 6 pizzeria proper. She goes through a cave and ends up in a lower level. So there is a non-zero chance that Help Wanted 2's DLC is Cassie like coming up into the FNAF 6 pizzeria and picking up where her dad left off, now taken over by Vanny. That would be really fucking cool, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be what they'd go for. It's hard to tell. The next day, August 5th, we've got Scott Cawthon interview with Dawko 2.0. The last time this happened was huge, and there was some decent lore drops in it. So I'm really excited to see what he thinks now, especially since it had to have been 6 years since the last time. The last Scott Cawthon interview with Dawko was because Dawko beat Ultimate Custom Night 50/20 mode. So Scott said if anyone does it, he'll do an interview. And we finally got an interview. And the fact that we're getting another interview with Scott is super exciting because he just doesn't say shit online. I hope he's on camera this time, because that will be the second time in history we get video footage of Scott Cawthon. And the first time being the final Matt Pat game theory. So like literally, this dude is so offline. So I do hope it's on video, but I understand if he's more comfortable in just an audio format. I don't think I'll be reacting to it on stream. I know a lot of people have asked for me to react to it on stream, but like I think I'm just bad at reacting. I don't know. I think I'm not good at doing YouTube reactions. I kind of just like sitting and watching stuff, and I kind of just watch it. So like I don't have great reactions. I think with something like somebody's timeline, I probably could do that on stream, and I should make a habit out of it, because I can pause and like give context and like give like, oh, I don't agree because of X, Y, and Z. But as far as like an interview with Scott Cawthon, not all of it's going to be lore. And the only thing I could really add to the conversation would be lore. So it'd just kind of be me watching a video live. So like, it wouldn't be transformative enough. So I won't be watching that on stream. I will be watching it the second it comes out, and I'll talk about it on the 5th, but I won't be watching it on stream. Then we get August 6th, the question mark collab. I think at this point, most people will think it's Fortnite. So Dead by Daylight, let me get ahead of myself. It's the only collab on the entire list where the brand is not named. So at this point, for Scott's sake, I hope it's not merch, because that's something not a lot of people talked about. Was like, it could be a brand of merchandise or clothing, and it could be a collab with that, and that's not only possible, I would say more likely than a video game collab. Although, counter argument, if it is just like a clothing or merchandise brand, why the secrecy? I don't know. But I for Scott's sake, I hope it isn't, because I feel like the entire fan base immediately agreed this is definitely going to be a game crossover. So the question is, what will it be? I think most people believe it's Fortnite, because on the same day, there's a Fortnite update. So like, totally possible. If it is Fortnite, the debate is then, is it going to be like Glamrock Freddy or regular Freddy? I have no idea. What if it's like the whole FNAF 1 gang? That'd be sick. If I can fucking play Fortnite as Foxy the Pirate, I will install Fortnite and play it on stream. Guarantee you. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it might. Dead by Daylight's possible, but it would be weird to announce it, right? Because the August 6th is already the scheduled date for the Castlevania more information trailer crossover for Dead by Daylight. So I guess it kind of feels weird to give like a trailer of like, here's everything you're going to see in Castlevania, and also here's the next chapter. Like that, I don't know, that feels weird to me. Maybe that's how Dead by Daylight goes. I don't know. That would also be hype. I think of the possibilities that I've seen, a Dead by Daylight collab, probably my most hoped for one. Because I do really think like Springtrap and Fazbear Frights is just a primo Dead by Daylight crossover. It would make so much sense. It works really well. I hope it happens. But will it? I don't know. I gotta not eat ice cream before I record the podcast. I'm lactose intolerant and I have IBS. I've cursed myself to just feel not good for this whole podcast. But there's other possibilities. I know we have the Roblox, I think it was Survival Crew, the Roblox official FNAF Roblox game. That was leaked in January because somehow the dev asked Scott, like, he sent over skins and he was like, how do these look? And Scott said, that looks good. And somehow that went to release the game right now, got it, and the devs released an unfinished game immediately. It got taken down like within a day or two. But that was very weird and embarrassing for the devs. I still have no idea how that happened, but Scott was pissed about it, rightfully so. The problem with the Roblox game, in my opinion, now I don't understand Roblox, but like, is releasing a game on Roblox considered a Roblox collab? Like, is that how that works? I don't think that's how that works. Unless like Roblox is endorsing the game, then I guess that would be a collab. But as far as I'm aware, anyone can release a game on Roblox and it's not considered a Roblox collab. I don't know. Maybe it's different when you're a franchise. I have no idea. Rivals of Aether would be cool, just like an indie fighting game, but I doubt that would happen. I don't know what other games it could be, realistically, if it's not the games we've already talked about. And we already know Freddy's in Funko Fusion, so that'd be crazy if that's what the announcement is supposed to be. But I think it's unironically probably going to be a merch drop, but there's a non-zero chance it'd be something really funny. So we'll see. And I'll most likely play that if it's a game, if it's playable, because it's a collab announcement. It might not be playable on the 6th, but no, it is playable on the 7th. 5 Laps at Freddy's by Click Team. I have been on my knees begging for a FNAF Kart Racer spinoff. I love kart racers. It's the best kind of video game. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. It is such an amazing game. The controls are so tight. The skill ceiling is unbelievably high. Nobody plays that game, so online kind of sucks, but more people should play it because I want more people to play it. I want them to port it to PC, but that game's like 6 years old, or no, the game's like 4 years old at this point. There's no shot it's getting ported to PC. But man, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is probably my favorite kart racer of all time. Well, no, it's definitely my favorite kart racer of all time. Maybe my favorite game of all time. I really, really, really like kart racers and their differences and their intricacies. There is a FNAF fan game called Fast Karts, and I do really like that. It's one of my favorite fan games because it's a kart racer. But, you know, it's a fan game made by someone with a limited budget, so it has a limited scope. You know, like, I personally would want to see more tracks, and like better, I guess, like more purposefully designed tracks, because the locations are fine, but the tracks themselves seem kind of haphazard. So that's my only complaint with that game. And I think that just, it needs time because there's not really a budget going into it, they can only work on it when they can work on it, and I respect that. But the fact that it's going to be like an officially endorsed and funded Click Team Five Nights at Freddy's kart racer, it's going to have the budget, you know, I'm so excited for it. Now, I have several questions. One, how the fuck do you make a kart racer in Click Team? That seems crazy. But 2, please, dear God, let it have multiplayer. If there's no multiplayer in the final release, this is going to be the biggest miss ever. Like, I understand the demo probably won't have multiplayer, but the full game kind of has to, right? It'd be crazy if the full 5 Laps of Freddy's kart racer doesn't have multiplayer. That would be insane. But I don't know. My other concern is, God, I hope it's good. You know, it's either got to be really good or at least kind of funny. Because if it's at least like kind of funny and fun enough, I can play it like once a month or something. But if they make like a really tight, well-made kart racer that's FNAF themed, I am not exaggerating. I might just make Mondays, 5 Laps at Freddy's Monday. Like, I might just play it every week because I love kart racers. So we'll see. The demo comes out on the 7th. I will be playing it on the 7th, and we will learn together if it's good. And I really hope it is. And then the 8th, Into the Pit full game release. That's super hype. We finally have a release date. I kind of figured it would be coming out in August because he did say it's a 10th anniversary game, but we didn't have a confirmation until now. And now we do have that confirmation. So I'm really, really excited for the Into the Pit game. I think a lot of people are. It looks genuinely frightening, which is something FNAF has needed for a while. And it looks so clean, so good. I have very high hopes for it. I don't know a lot of Mega Cat Studios library, so I don't frankly know if Mega Cat Studios is like a good game developer. I assume they are because everything they've made in this trailer looks great and Scott trusts them with the franchise. But like I said, I've never played a single Mega Cat Studios game, so I don't know personally, but it looks good. So I am excited. And who knows if it is received well. I would love to see more stories from the books converted into games in this style. I think this is awesome. So yeah, August is going to be crazy and probably the most hectic month in the entire history of FNAF, which is good because I need the ad revenue. That was meant to be a wink, and I think I closed both eyes because I'm tired. But let's switch over to questions. So if you have a question you want answered on the podcast, you can send them to Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast at gmail.com. That is in the description to copy and paste because it's a pain to type out. You can also submit them via Spotify's Q&A feature. Our first question comes from Kim, she, her. Is it possible that Princess Quest 4's Old Man Consequences is nothing more than repurposed code? Like, is Old Man Consequences actually AI or the Mimic? This is a great question, Kim. Something that's really stumped me is the Old Man in Princess Quest. Because it very clearly, like you even call him Old Man Consequences, it's very clear to me that the Old Man of Princess Quest and Old Man Consequences are kind of meant to be the same character. They're the same color, they serve a similar function, they're both like old dudes. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But Princess Quest 4's Old Man really does stand out as strange. Because in Princess Quest 1, 2, and 3, the Old Man is always like, here's your quest, take this weapon. Here's your quest, take this lantern. And then like, here's your quest, and then eventually like, you completed your quest, you can rest now. And that's it. But then Princess Quest 4 comes around, it's like, you completed your quest, but you're back. Look deeper, you'll find what you're looking for. And then when you get deeper, he's there to take the Vanny mask from you and says, it is a fair trade, and then gives you Glitch Trap. And it's in this broken English. And Jason Topolsky in the FNAF interview mentioned, like, yes, this is a reference to how broken the English of older arcade games was, but that's not all of it. Like, he said that's part of it, but the dialogue in that instance is exactly the way he wants it to be. So there's another reason for it, and I could not figure it out. But you raise a very interesting point. Princess Quest, unlike Princess Quests 1, 2, and 3, Princess Quest 4 seems like a trap. It seems like something specifically created to capture its player. So I wonder if the Old Man we're seeing in Princess Quest 4 never existed. But like you said, it's repurposed code, which would then explain the broken English. They're working with what they have. Think about how the Mimic talks as Gregory at the end of Ruin, when it's kind of like chopping together sentences to get new sentences out. That kind of feels like what the Old Man in Princess Quest 4 is doing, where it's broken English because it's not unique. It's pieced together from actual bits of dialogue that the Old Man has said before. In fact, I don't know if this is true. I would have to look it up. But I wonder if every word he says in Princess Quest 4 has been said in 1, 2, or 3. I don't know. I don't think so, because I don't think the word trade ever came up. But if it did, if that's true, that's huge. Because that was a big point in Ruin, is that everything Gregory says quote unquote, everything the mimic as the Gregory, everything that the mimic as Gregory says in Ruin is something that that Gregory has said in Security Breach. It's repurposed, it's stretched. The only thing that is added is the name Cassie. Everything else is something from Security Breach being replayed. And that's a really cool touch. So because of that, I wonder if a similar thing happened with the Old Man in Princess Quest 4. And if that was and he's not there. This is a new trap that has been created. That's possible. I don't know. It's interesting. I really like that question. I'm going to have to do some research now. But thank you for your question, Kim. Our next question comes from Sleepy, any all. Do you think it is important how similar sun/moon/eclipse is to the security puppet that Henry made? And if so, what do you think this means for the future of Eclipse? Like the security puppet, Eclipse is an animatronic marionette who relies on strings suspended them to the ceiling to move around. Eclipse also serves the same purpose as the security puppet, keeping Fazbear attendants in one area and making sure they're safe. Thank you for your question, Sleepy. And yeah, like you're very, very correct. The marionette and Eclipse share a lot of similarities. Hung by strings, tall and lanky, takes care of children. Like they are kind of like parallels of each other. The question then comes in, you're right. Is this important? I really don't know. Because Eclipse does feel older. And being associated with the carousel from Fall Fest is further evidence to that possibly Eclipse was made for Fall Fest or possibly even for Sister Location before it closed down. So if that's true, that would line up with why it kind of looks like, why it acts similar to the security puppet. Interestingly enough, I could see someone looking at this and going, oh, maybe Henry built Eclipse with maybe like FNAF, or maybe not even Henry. I could see someone looking at this going like, maybe Fazbear created Eclipse in the idea of the security puppet, something that will protect kids. That's like it's lined up because it's like, oh, let's make a new one for the Pizzaplex. But there is a non-zero chance that the idea for the security puppet came from Eclipse. That Eclipse was made for Fall Fest as that stage performer. And then when making the security puppet, Henry leaned on those designs when making it. Is that likely? Maybe 50-50. It's not, I wouldn't say it's likely. It's definitely possible. It would be really interesting. Ultimately, we don't have a lot of evidence to point us as to the origins of Eclipse. But I would love to learn more about them, and maybe they show up in that Fall Fest game. I don't know. But thank you for your question, Sleepy. Our next question comes from Jack, him. In an old podcast episode, you got the question about Ultimate Custom Night being in the Tangle. If that's to be believed, could FNAF World be in the FNAF 4 box? Thank you for your question. So, again, we should once more go over that idea. The idea of, like, Ultimate Custom Night being in the Tangle. Now, this isn't literal, but this would be like, the Tangle seems to be this mass of agony. So putting someone's consciousness in this massive agony would be a perfect time to forever torture them in their own purgatory, in their own mind. But if that's the case, I wouldn't say that FNAF 4 is happening in the FNAF, or I wouldn't say that FNAF World is happening in the FNAF 4 box, but I do think they are related. I have, for a while now, thought that FNAF World was trying to help the crying child move on. And I don't think that's a novel idea. But what I'm not saying I'm the first person who thought of this, but in a video I put out to kind of, as something I thought of that I wanted to put out there, and I still fully believe to this day, is the clock ending for FNAF World is finding the body of the crying child so he can move on. Because the clock ending has us going all over the place, to all these different locations, and then finally going to a clearing in the woods near where we started. And in Midnight Motorist, we have that clearing in the woods with that lump. And then in FNAF 4, we have that box where some things are best left unopened. In Alone Together, it establishes that wandering spirits cannot move on until their until their remains are found. And it seems like after the FNAF 4 bite, the crying child went into a coma. So my current thinking is that the crying child is brought back to the Afton house to be taken care of by William Afton. And he is trying to figure out a way to bring him back, and eventually the crying child dies. And it's at that moment that he realizes, if I ever figure out how to bring someone back, I'm going to need access to this body. So the outside world cannot know. And it cannot be in a public graveyard where I can't dig it up. So he puts him in the FNAF 4 box, and he buries it in the clearing in the woods near their house. Right, because there's the Midnight Motorist house and then the clearing in the woods that are pretty nearby each other. So then in FNAF World, we are looking all over the place, and we end up in a clearing of the woods above where we started, and we find something, and then we get that scene of like, the pieces are in place for you, all you have to do is find them, and now rest. So I really think it is going to look for places the crying child's body could be, to find the crying child's body, show the crying child his remains, and now the crying child can find peace and rest. Do I think we're literally collecting pieces of him? No. I know Shatter Victim is a pretty popular theory, like at least growing in popularity. I am hesitant with Shatter Victim. I think it's possible, especially considering the Man in Room 1280, it would be like a reflection, but I don't see it personally. I don't think we're literally collecting pieces of the crying child's remnant. I think we're just finding the crying child, essentially. Because that would be the one soul who couldn't move on otherwise. And if Charlotte is going to do that, then she possibly leaves the FNAF 6 fire before it really takes everyone. I don't know. But that's where I think the FNAF 4 box connects to FNAF World. I don't think it's taking place literally inside the box. But thank you for your question. I mean, it could be. I just don't think so. And finally, we have a big old question from Lucky, she, her. I'm not sure if you're super aware of the many theories on Fazbear Frights, but what do you think of Mr. Renner from Animatronic Apocalypse? There are a lot of interpretations on what he is, and I wanted to get your opinion, as people seem to be split on whether he's a robot, an agony entity like Eleanor, or at least being infected by an agony entity, or even the Freddy bully from FNAF 4. Personally, I'm on the Freddy bully theory, because of his weird Freddy mask that goes unexplained in the story, but I know it varies. If you want to hear other evidence for things, people are split whether the black liquid associated with Renner is agony or motor oil, which splits people between robot theory and agony being theory, and of course the Freddy mask, which goes unexplained, where he really isn't associated with Freddy's in the story. Thank you for your question, Lucky. Yeah, I'm really torn. So out the gate, it's going to be real, I don't like Animatronic Apocalypse. I think it's a weird story that doesn't really go anywhere. It meanders, has an ending that makes no sense, and then it just is over. That being said, Mr. Renner is an interesting question mark in that story. So for anyone who hasn't read Animatronic Apocalypse, incredibly oversimplified, Freddy's fan club at school has a D&D-like game called The Animatronic Apocalypse, and their teacher who's supervising gets replaced by the principal, Mr. Renner, and things start going weird. Students start acting in crazy ways, and every time our main character's like, why are you doing this? Someone's like, to get ready for the Animatronic Apocalypse. And then all the teachers are in on it, and then Mr. Renner seems to be the ringleader for all of this, and to the point where there's a meeting at Mr. Renner's house, and the kid goes to it like, what is going on? And at the head of the table is Mr. Renner wearing a rubber Freddy mask. And it's like, what is going on? But then they fight, and black liquid starts coming out of Mr. Renner. He collapses in it. Kid gets the police. The police come. There's a puddle still there, but Mr. Renner is gone. So it's like, what is he? I think an agony monster, just an agony manifestation, is possible. It's not I don't think it's what I believe the most, but I think it is very possible, especially because he disappears. The black liquid would be associated with agony. You know, all the things line up, and then agony would be able to control the minds of other people it's at least like more possible for agony to do that. But what I get stuck on is that, like, if this was a full manifestation of agony, wouldn't it kill people if it touched them? Or, like, couldn't it at least? And then why would the black liquid be identified by the police as motor oil? So I do think the most likely option here is that Mr. Renner is an animatronic. But if so, why is he an animatronic? What is going on here? That I have no explanation for. I do not understand that. Maybe a mimic endoskeleton got out. Maybe it's something Fazbear made and the experiment got out. I do not know. And I'd rather just forget about the story entirely. So that's my answer. But again, if you want your questions answered on the podcast, send them into Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast at gmail.com. That's in the description to copy and paste if you don't want to type it, because it's made to type. But thank you for watching the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Podcast, where the pizza abilities are endless. We hope to enjoy your future patronage. Bye-bye for now.